First off, if you come after me with stop the infighting, I'm going to block you. It's really, really important that we criticize our Democratic elected officials when they're fucking shit up, when they're failing to be an actual opposition against fascism. Did you know that our elected representatives work for us? They are public servants. They're called public servants for a reason. Now, I understand an awful lot of them actually don't work for us. They don't act like they work for us at all. They work for AIPAC. They work for dark money. They work for corporate money. And that is on full fucking display right now when it comes to the way Democratic leadership is behaving around Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth's war of aggression in Iran. And so I will criticize them. I will criticize them. We all should criticize them if they are failing to be our allies in the fight against fascism. If they're doing the wrong thing by the American people because AIPAC has them over a fucking barrel, we should be criticizing them. We should be voting them out. The only way we get change in the Democratic Party is if we, the people, insist on it. So I don't want to hear your shit about no infighting, no infighting. It's natural and healthy to have conflict. It's natural to criticize your representatives when they aren't representing you. I'm going to be referencing here a piece that came out yesterday in The Intercept. Democratic leaders avoid criticizing Trump's Iran war. Now voters will have a say. Top Democrats close to AIPAC stick to criticizing Trump's process failures, but primary candidates are calling for a referendum on the war itself. Now, several days ago, I talked about how one of the benefits of a really vigorous primary season is not only do we get a chance to pick progressive candidates who will represent us and push the party left, who want to get rid of dark money in politics, who want to overturn Citizens United and have a representative democracy where the people have a voice in government, but also because it puts pressure on those currently in Congress who are doing the wrong thing, surrender Dems who are not taking action the way that they should because they're not really worried about losing their seat, right? Solidly blue Democratic, corporate establishment Democratic districts where they're like, we can do whatever we want because we know that a Democrat's going to get elected. Nope, this is why we push a progressive primary challenger because they now have to earn the votes of their constituents, which they should have been doing all of the time. They should have been doing their job. But so many of these wealthy, powerful elites in Congress, particularly in the Senate, they're willing to just roll over all of the time because they're not actually operating on behalf of democracy. Again, there's so many of these guys that are not actually allies in our fight for democracy at all. What they are is seeking to uphold the status quo. As my eldest kid always says of corporate Democrats, they're right where they want to be. They like being controlled opposition. They're right where they want to be because they can line their own pockets. They can get millions from AIPAC. They can always dangle these promises in front of us and then never fully deliver, keeping us on the hook, voting for them over and over again. They're right where they want to be, and it's time for us to make them uncomfortable. A vigorous primary season is how we help make them uncomfortable. They better fucking be voting the right way, right? We're all watching. We're all watching how they're voting with this war powers resolution that's coming up. And an awful lot of these AIPAC Democrats are very, very uncomfortable at the thought of voting to constrain Donald Trump's power when it comes to attacking Iran. And why is that? Why is that? Let me give you a little hint here. Listen to Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs from California here.
Is there anything to be looked at there as to why the United States is going at this operation with the Israelis alone? I mean, we had Suzanne Maloney on from Brookings earlier, and she said she was somewhat suspicious of the Washington Post reporting this evening that suggested Saudi Arabia and Israel were pushing this war, and said Israel made it very clear why they want this war, the Saudis less so.
Look, my family lives in Tel Aviv. My aunt and uncle and cousin literally are texting me from the bomb shelter. So, I take Israel's security very seriously. It's literally my family. And Bibi Netanyahu has literally been trying to get presidents from both parties to do a regime change operation in Iran with him for decades. Donald Trump is just the first one stupid enough to actually do it.
That's absolutely right. Thank you, Rep. Jacobs, for being willing to speak the truth. Now, I want to make it really clear here, there are an awful lot of Democrats who don't want to take dark money, who don't want to take AIPAC money, who don't want to be controlled by foreign governments. They're not the Democratic leadership, unfortunately. They're not Hakeem Jeffries, and they're definitely not Chuck Schumer. Now, we know that Donald Trump has this weird adoration for both Putin and Bibi Netanyahu. I always find it interesting when strong men kind of adore other strong men. He did it with North Korea as well. But Bibi and Putin, they don't respect Donald Trump. They don't adore Donald Trump. He's a useful idiot for them. He's somebody that they can control and get him to spend billions of our taxpayer dollars doing their bidding. send our sons over to die in foreign wars because they want it to happen. Now we could say, is there more going on here? Is he really adoring of these guys, or do they have dirt on him, right? What's in the Epstein documents that Bibi has his hands on? But speaking of Netanyahu and wanting to control the narrative and control the entire United States, he's not particularly secret about that fact either.
We have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. The weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is
followers.
TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be.
Right, the sale of TikTok was entirely done for Israel's benefit. That was entirely done for Bibi Netanyahu to be able to utilize psychological tactics to continue to exert control over the American people and over our tax dollars. And Israeli money currently controls an awful lot of members of Congress from the Democratic Party. I just did a video about how the DCCC took a bunch of money from Palantir. They take a shit ton of money from AIPAC. I think it's really important as we voters right now are looking at this war powers resolution, trying to restrict Donald Trump's ability to wage war without the approval of Congress. Like, Congress, do your fucking job. Only Congress has the power to declare war. And Republicans in Congress and AIPAC Democrats have done fuck all to restrict him. They have not done their job. They've allowed him to behave as a dictator, to have unilateral monarchical power, and they're not backing off from that because their palms are all greased, right? Either Trump has shit he's holding over them, or foreign governments' dark money is all controlling these members of Congress. So they can't be loyal to the Constitution. They can't be loyal to the American people and the future of democracy. And this War Powers resolution puts that on full display, So we need to all be, one, calling our current Democratic elected officials and Republican, but Democratic elected officials and letting them know exactly what we think, that we are watching them. And two, we have to get really savvy about supporting progressive Democrats who are committed to ending Citizens United, committed to getting foreign and dark money out of our politics. Look at who's taking all that dirty DCCC money. Look at who Chuck Schumer is propping up. And think about whether or not you want to be supporting somebody who's supported by AIPAC. The fact that Democrats in Congress are even waffling a tiny bit over this war, the fact that they don't want to condemn this attack against Iran because it's what Israel wanted, alarm bells should be sounding if that's your member of Congress. Now, this War Powers resolution was put forward by Democrat Tim Kaine.
Has the U.S. learned nothing from 25 years of war in the Middle East? Thousands of U.S. lives lost, troops and private contractors, trillions of dollars expended, hundreds of thousands of civilian deaths across the region, destabilizing the region, which we did when we foolishly invaded Iraq on fake pretenses. We've seen this before, an invasion on fake pretenses. I can say this, I'm on 2 committees that give me access to a lot of classified information. There was no imminent threat from Iran to the United States that warrants sending our sons and daughters into yet another war in the Middle East, and I'm going to do everything I can to stop it.
And again, there are many, many members of the Democratic Party. It's really like 2 parties, right? Corporate foreign money controlled, and then there are progressives who actually care about reforms, care about democracy, care about representing their constituents, and actually being functional allies with us in the fight for democracy. These guys over here, they're right where they want to be. And we're hearing from both Schumer and Jeffries these kind of squirrely statements, right? This is another endless and costly war. You didn't run this through Congress. Not condemnation of the actions themselves, but just that it wasn't run through Congress. I want to conclude here with a quote from Claire Valdez, who is running in New York's 7th Congressional District. As we plunge headlong into another catastrophic war, Senator Schumer and Rep. Jeffries' throat clearing and process critique only serves Trump and the war machine. Democrats should speak clearly and with one voice. No war. Now is the time for us to be leveraging our current members of Congress, calling, emailing, showing up at their offices, meeting with their staff. It's also time for us to get really, really involved in the primaries. The defense of democracy is happening on two different fronts, y'all. We have to defeat the fascist Republicans. We have to make sure that we don't replace them in the midterms with right where they want to be corporate Democrats who are backed by AIPAC, who don't represent us. We need representation. We need democracy. It's up to us to get it. If you don't know where to go, start with indivisible2026.org.